What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description below and along the timeline. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too. And that is only if you enjoy the content, of course. But as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me on Twitter, on all social media, Discord, everywhere basically. So thank you so much. And with that being said, let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. And our first story is from Casey Yee. Would I be the arsehole if I reported a nurse for breaking HIPAA rules? I'm going to call it HIPAA. I might be totally wrong in doing so. I, 18 female, had my mum schedule me an appointment for severe abdominal pain. She forgot that I had switched clinics a couple of months ago, so she made an appointment at my old kids' clinic. Because of Corona, we scheduled a FaceTime appointment. During my appointment, the only questions the nurse asked me were virus related. Since she wasn't asking me about my pain, I told her my symptoms. I also mistakenly thought she was a different doctor I saw last year, and she took great offence to that. For the rest of the appointment, she was curt, rude, and when I tried to apologise for mistaking her for someone else, she ended the FaceTime call. The entire appointment lasted 7 minutes. Because I had such a bad experience, I went back to my clinic. The doctor I saw there was kind, knowledgeable, and immediately knew what to do. He ordered an x-ray, and I got the x-ray as soon as our appointment was over. So for some reason, the x-ray was sent to the first nurse instead of my doctor. She called my mum to ask for my phone number, since she cannot legally talk to my mum without consent from me. During this phone call with my mum, these are some of the things she said. My poor diet is to blame for my pain. I eat a very balanced diet, and she didn't ask me about it. How would she know? She accused me of lying to my mum about my symptoms. She said that as an 18-year-old, I was too embarrassed to tell my mum the truth. She also said that I was constipated and had blood in my stool. Neither of those are true. She said I was too focused on going to parties to care about my health. I do not party. She said that I spent the entire appointment backpedaling for my mistaking for her for someone else and wasted the appointment. She said that although I'm 18, I'm not mature enough to care about my own health, make my own decisions, and said I was no different than a child. After she attacked me for my character, she discussed the x-ray results with my mum. I'm pretty sure this is illegal. She admitted to my mum she wasn't allowed to discuss my medical information with her, and that it was illegal, but she did it anyway. Unfortunately, the phone call was not recorded. She never ended up getting my phone number from my mother, which is on file, so she didn't need it anyway. So I believe meant to call my mum this whole time. When my mum told me what she said, I started crying and was very angry. I think what she did is illegal. I never signed any consent forms allowing doctors to share medical information with anyone else. So here's the part where I could be an arsehole. I don't care if my parents see my medical information. Her discussing my x-ray results with my mum does not hurt me at all. However, based on her other behaviour and the fact she did break the law, I want to report her. Although I know what she did was wrong, I would be reporting her out of spite and anger. So would I be the arsehole if I reported this nurse? Now we do have an update to this post, and that's why I read this one. This post is a couple of months old, but I saw the update and I thought, oh, let's just read that one today. You know, some of the things this nurse is saying in here sounds absolutely crazy. Things that I don't think should be said, you know. Well, definitely shouldn't be said, because you said yourself that you don't party or anything like that. You have a well-balanced diet. She's blaming your diet. She's saying you're going to parties. And then saying things like, you was backpedaling for mistaking her for someone else, which, why is she telling that to your mum anyway? That's nothing to do with your mum. And she shouldn't be doing it anyway. So in my opinion, and I'm sure health professionals would agree on this, that you would report this situation. Because if she's doing that to just you, how many other people is this happening to? You know, you don't want your information shared willy-nilly. So let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say, and then we'll head on over to the update. Working on it 2020 says, healthcare worker here, report her arse immediately. HIPAA is nothing to take lightly and she broke so many laws. Legally, you should have to sign a release information form that includes your mum. They'd have to verify it with you to give her any information. We used to have mums call our clinic all the time to get information about their 18-year-olds, and we'd have to argue with them constantly that legally we cannot give out that information, even if they think you're still a child in their eyes. I'm sorry you had such a terrible experience. Benettinol says, not the arsehole. If she did do it to you, she'd do it to someone else. She violated your privacy out of what? Spite? Ego? This is a massive violation of medical ethics. She absolutely needs to be reported. Arise's heiress says, not the arsehole, report her to the practice administrator, patient care advocate of a health system she's affiliated with. your insurance company, and then your state attorney general or secretary of state's office. You're a legal adult, and that was unauthorized use of your private health information. If she did it to you, she'd do it to others. Further, her personal opinions of you should not factor into your care that she isn't an active participant in. She didn't order the x-ray, so she should have read it and rendered an opinion on it. Now we're heading over to the update to see what happened. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. I really did not expect it to gain that much traction, but I am grateful for the advice. I will break this post up into two parts, my diagnosis and the decision I made on reporting her. Diagnosis: so as many of you guessed, I had an ovarian cyst, 2 grapefruit-sized ovarian cysts in fact. My doctor ordered same-day blood work, stool/urine test, and a CT scan with contrast. That night, he called me and told me I had cysts and I had to get to surgery ASAP. The next week, I had a laparoscopic surgery to remove the cysts. It was supposed to be a very quick surgery with only 3 incisions, but my surgery discovered the cyst had ruptured and caused internal bleeding, and the surgery ended up being hours long. I ended up with 8 incisions. After I woke up, she said that if I had not gotten surgery, I'd either lost a huge amount of blood or lost my ovaries. They started to torsion. I also got anemia from the blood I lost. Recovery was tough and painful, but I have 0 pain now. I'm on birth control to hopefully never experience this again. Decision: I reported her. I was torn on whether I should report her to just the practice or the actual organisations, but I decided to give the practice a chance and only report her to them first. I wrote a 4-page letter detailing both phone calls and my eventual diagnosis and sent it to the office manager of the practice. I told him that because I was a long-time patient, I would give them the chance to resolve it internally, but if the results weren't satisfactory, I wouldn't hesitate to report to the appropriate authorities. They emailed me back immediately and said they would forward it to the doctors of the practice. Well, I finally got a letter back today. They said they took my concerns very seriously and they had taken further action. They also said they reported the incident themselves. Even if the resolution wasn't as exciting as many of you had hoped for, I'm glad this is all over. It was a very difficult summer dealing with not only the surgery, the nurse, but also other personal tragedies. I'm currently starting my freshman year of college, and I'm glad I didn't have to deal with this anymore. Thank you again to everyone who offered advice or well wishes. It really made me feel validated in my decision to report her. And I think that's a good way to end it. I mean, you gave the doctor's office a choice. I think you should have just reported it immediately to higher up authorities, which they have done anyway. So, you know, it's a win-win situation. And it would have been good to know what happened to the nurse in the end, but I think this is as good as it's going to get, really, isn't it? What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. And our next story is from JDP Ghost. Am I the arsehole for declining to house my cousin after she got kicked out of home for being a lesbian? My cousin Charlotte, 19, female, came out as a lesbian 2 years ago when she was 17. It was not received well by her parents. For context, Charlotte and I are children of first-generation immigrants from Vietnam. Our parents migrated to Australia when they were well into their adulthood, so their values are very much that of traditional Vietnam, her parents especially. That doesn't justify their bigotry, of course, but it explains it. Tension between Charlotte and her parents reached its breaking point last month, and Charlotte left her parents' home to stay with friends at their rental. While I'm unaware of the specifics, it does appear that both Charlotte and her parents consider their relationship unsalvageable, which was actually near an inevitable outcome. So I hope that Charlotte was smart enough to have prepared for this eventually. She was not. Yesterday, Charlotte called me to ask me whether she can stay with me for the foreseeable future. Mind you, Charlotte has $0 in savings, has never worked a day in her life, and won't be graduating for another 3 years. And because we're in a pandemic, it's unlikely she'd be able to even land a casual job in the near future. As I wasn't prepared to take on responsibility of raising an adult, I turned down Charlotte's request. I received a lot of criticism from the other cousins for my decision. Their primary argument is that because I'm the only one of us with my own home, I am in a unique position to assist Charlotte, and is therefore my responsibility to do so. Firstly, this is easy for them to argue that they're not the ones being asked to essentially adopt an adult. Secondly, I'm not close with Charlotte, definitely not close enough that I have to feed her and clothe her. Had Charlotte been more prepared and was only asking for temporary assistance, I would have been much more likely to help out. But I don't want to take in someone that has no way of supporting herself within the foreseeable future. Am I the arsehole? Edit, assistance from the other cousins. I made it clear to everyone involved that I'm willing to provide Charlotte housing for no charge, as long as they're the ones on the line for all her other expenses, for as long as necessary. Under the worst case scenarios, e.g. she fails to get welfare for whatever reason, she fails to get a job for whatever reason, she incurs unexpected expenses for whatever reason. Practically, this meant me asking the cousins to loan Charlotte up front enough to cover her expenses for a year, so that I'm not in a position of having to chase people down for money. The money would be sent straight to Charlotte's account. No one was willing to provide that level of assurance that I needed. They claim they will be upfront with the funds when necessary, which just isn't good enough for me. Edit, allowing Charlotte to stay conditionally. The problem is enforcing the conditions, especially in the legal climate of extreme uncertainty due to the flurry of retroactive additions to tenancy laws. It's also harder to kick someone out than it is to not let them stay in the first place. You know, OP sounds pretty smart. They sound like they have their life sort of very straightened out and they're planning about money and things, and they're saying that Charlotte should have been prepared for this and had savings and things like that and been ready for the time when this eventually did come out. She was saying she should have been prepared, basically. And I can't blame OP in this situation for looking to the other cousin saying, look, if you want me to help out, you're putting this on my shoulders, I want you to help out as well, and you have to help out financially if you want me to take Charlotte in. Which I totally get from OP's point of view. Now, from my point of view, if I was in OP's position and I had the chance to help a cousin who was being discriminated that young in their life and being basically kicked out of their own home or left or whatever because they couldn't handle it no more, I think I personally would help in that situation and then would help them with their life to try and get them back on track. I think that's such a good thing to do, and you're basically potentially saving a life by doing that. But that would be just my opinion. I'm not sure OP would feel, well, clearly OP doesn't feel the same in the situation. I don't think everyone would. I think quite a few people think like OP does as well, but my opinion is I would say like everyone sucks here, except Charlotte, of course, because she's just trying to live her life the way she wants to and is having barriers in her way. But let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Stoyon says, not the arsehole, you looked over the finances, the current economic climate and her finances, you realised that you would not be able to support her for an extended period of time, and did the only thing you could do, say no. About your friends, has any of them offered a place to stay? Shadow Redditor 300 says, they're your family who's been kicked out of their home. Who could prepare for that? Also, very quickly, are you under financial stress that prevents you from doing it? Or do you just not want another person in your house? One I could understand, the other not so much. If you're relatively neutral, why not give it a go? Give them temporary assistance at the very least. I'm leaning towards you're the arsehole because there's not enough info. That, and I'm biased towards helping out my queer family. Mr. Boo 843 says you're the arsehole for expecting her to be prepared, and this is your main argument for not wanting to help. Your edit makes it even worse. How in hell can you expect people to pay her expenses for a year in advance? Avalav says, everyone sucks here except Charlotte. While you're under no obligation to house a relative, did you seriously expect her to be prepared to become essentially homeless? That's naive as hell, and while I'm not judging not the arsehole, nobody can just prepare for that. PVKE says, you're not obligated to take her in, but why do you assume her moving in automatically makes you financially responsible for her? In her going on Central Link, not an option. She should be eligible for rent assistance, which you can pay forward to you for putting a roof over her head, as well as Austudy/youth allowance for being a student, which you can use to financially support herself. Now, what do you guys think of the story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story comes from Infamous Ant. Am I the arsehole for leaving because my SIL's romantic surprise made me uncomfortable? My SIL was married for 15 years to a very wealthy, high-powered man. I found them both a bit insufferable, but my husband and his sister are very close. SIL's husband ended up going to jail. I don't know a ton about it, but he was embezzling and committing various white-collar crimes, but everyone involved thinks he took the fall for something a lot worse and was protected by some very powerful people. He served some time, nothing close to what he deserved in my opinion, but financially, he pretty much got away with it. SIL and her husband divorced right after all this happened, and at the time I was shocked because it seemed to come out of nowhere. I later found out that it had been tipped off, and by divorcing her he was able to hide the money. SIL is adamant that they had just grown apart, but she visited him in jail all the time. I know that his high up friends orchestrated this to protect him financially, but no one will ever prove it. He was set to get out soon, but he got out early for good behaviour, so my husband and MIL decided to surprise SIL and have him show up at our birthday dinner. Well, her reaction confirmed everything about them not growing apart. She burst into tears, jumped on him, would not let go of him for the rest of the night, so yeah, I've no doubt their divorce was fraudulent and they are both criminals. I ended up leaving dinner because I was disgusted. they are still rich. SIL still lives in a beautiful home they brought together, and I'm sure he is going to come out of this fine. Everyone was fawning over how beautiful and romantic it was, but I have a 13-year-old daughter and I don't want her to think that this is some great love story. I left abruptly, and when MIL asked where I was going, I said it made me uncomfortable. My husband says I was out of line. Now, I'm going to just say this straight off the bat. As I was reading, I was getting like jealousy feels from this. That's just what I'm going to say straight away, but I'm not totally sure just yet. And I say that because there's just a lot of talk about money, wealth, and power in this story. That like he's a very, very wealthy, high-powered man, got powerful people, financially pretty much got away with it, able to hide the money, which was an assumption anyway from OP. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not protecting people who do white-collar crimes and make lots of money from it, you know, that's illegal and you would be the arsehole just for that. If the story was about this person for what they did, if they did, there was an assumption, if they did get a divorce just to hide money from basically stolen money or whatever, embezzled money, then yes, automatic not the arsehole in this story from OP. But OP, because it sounds to me, I'm saying this now because I've been getting a lot of flack just lately, because it sounds to me, it sounds more of a jealousy issue and it's about leaving the romantic surprise that made him uncomfortable, and it sounds more about jealousy in my opinion. I'm going to say you're the arsehole in this situation, just from that standpoint. But let's have a look at the comments below to see what they say. Why Am I So Awesome 9 says, not the arsehole. I wish white collar crimes were viewed in line with their impacts. If one person steals from an employer, they get charged and lose their job. If an employer steals from 1,000 staff, they get a yearly bonus. It sounds like your in-laws are supporting and encouraging this behaviour. Teddy the Penguin says, not the arsehole. It seems that you're the only one who doesn't condone fraud or stealing in your home. At least someone is setting an honest example for your kids. Little Outside says, not the arsehole, but be prepared to stand very lonely in your corner. That family is not going to support your take on this and your husband is with them. What they're doing sounds like at the very least morally shady, but you may need to decide whether this is the hill you want to die on. Good luck OP, you're going to need it with this one. Now as I said, the comments are clearly not the arsehole. I'm going with a you're the arsehole because of the whole jealousy issue in this that I think, I'm personally assuming, so you know, I could be the arsehole for doing that, and I'm happy to be wrong, and I will mention it briefly now. There's been several times in the last couple of days when I've made probably controversial opinions at the end, like not the arsehole, you're the arsehole, everyone sucks, whatever, on stories. And you know, I'm happy to be wrong, I'm happy to be educated, so please explain to me why you think I'm wrong rather than just, you know, call me names or whatever. I've been getting it quite a lot the last couple of days for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but some people got some built up rage, man. But let me know your opinion in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from Geriatric Puppy. Would I be the arsehole if I suggested we euthanize our dog before our family vacation? Obligatory throwaway account and mobile, so I apologise for formatting errors. I have a 12-year-old border collie. We adopted him in January 2012. He's a much loved member of our family. Dad, mum, 15 male, 30 male, 11 male. He is diabetic, has thyroid condition and has arthritis in his hips. Currently he takes insulin shots and 2 pills twice per day. In 2018 he beat Lyme disease, but that's where we discovered all his other health problems. He's been struggling to get up more and more. In the last 2 weeks he's had 2 seizures. One was so significant he bit his own tongue. He had one again today and it took him 2 hours to come back around to normal consciousness. Occasionally he won't eat after he's given his insulin, which can cause another seizure due to a quick drop in blood sugar, unless I get down on the floor and feed him by hand. So about 80% of the time now he's a happy guy, either napping, asking for pets or asking you to throw the ball to him. He can't chase it anymore, but he still likes to take a couple of chews, have you go get the ball and throw it back to him. It's that 20% that seems to be quickly taking over though. Here's where the would I be the arsehole comes in. We have a family camping trip coming in the 2nd week of July. We can't afford to kennel him at the vet's office. We can't take him with us because we're planning things that will have us away from a campsite all day, water park, and it's unsafe and unfair to keep him in the camper by himself all day. I have friends that can care for him and administer his meds. I am just earnestly afraid that he will pass away while we're gone, and I don't want to carry that guilt. On the other hand, I don't want my kids to be sad all vacation about our dog passing away. They know he's old and they know he may pass away. It's just going to be really rough when it happens. Thanks for your help. This is like an extremely tough one to vote on simply because, and there is an update to this post as well, but because You truly know how the dog is suffering, the quality of life that the dog has. Dogs can't talk to us, so we have to go by what we see in front of us, and you're seeing that. But you said in the post as well that 80% of the time he's okay. But is it a good quality of life in that 80%? Is he just literally lying there doing nothing all day and suffering for it? I don't know, it's a really tough one, and I would hate to make a decision on this one because it's such a personal topic as well. A dog passing away, man. You know, that one's really hard to judge on. I'll read a couple of comments and go straight to the update post below. Miss Potato Head 22 says, I can't vote on this, but I feel like it might not be the right call if he's still enjoying life. Plus you'd ruin your vacation by having your dog die right before it, so your kids are mourning their childhood pet. But ultimately, are you putting him down for your convenience or because you think he's suffering too much? I am not okay, but I am here says, you're the arsehole. You literally said he's okay 80% of the time, but because you want to go on a trip, you want to get him euthanized. Be responsible and have one of you stay behind. He's your responsibility. And the update post says, still a throwaway account. I was clearly the arsehole and I accepted the judgment. I kept my mouth shut. We took the good boy with us. He didn't have any seizures during the trip. 2 weeks later, he started having seizures at 3:30 AM. I rushed him to the vet as soon as it opened. He ended up having 10 seizures that day and never really came out of them. He just stayed in a fugue state. I hope I pronounced that right. Even with IV meds to stop the seizures. We made the decision as a family to end his suffering. We're all with him when he passed and we miss him dearly. Pet your puppas, folks. Oh, and what a way to end it. God damn it. No one likes to see a pet go, but surrounded by his loved ones, I think, you know, you can't ask for much more than that in life. He sounded like he had a great life while he was with us, so rest in peace, doggo. And I'm glad you did take him with you in the end on holiday. He had his final moments with you, enjoying life with you guys. So what more can we ask for? So in a way, it is quite a wholesome ending. And clearly the dog was surrounded by loved ones. So that is a good thing, right? Let me know what you guys think of the original story in the comments below. And don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Once again, guys, thank you for being here today. You are always truly appreciated on this channel, and I hope you do know that. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.